Hey everyone, John here. Welcome back to part 5 of this tutorial series. In the last tutorial, we unwrapped the logo. This time we're going to send it across to Substance Painter, give it a quick texture job, and then bring it straight back to Blender ready for animating. So let's jump in. And here in Blender, the only thing I've done since the last tutorial is just created a new material just by clicking on the plus button here, naming it electric state, making it a bright yellow, and just applying it to all of the objects. We're going to need this for Substance Painter in order to be able to create the texture. So the only other thing to do now is to send this across to Substance Painter, and I'm using my favorite add-on. This is Xolotl's Live Link. You can find the link here. If you're using Substance Painter with a range of different hosts, including Cinema 4D and Blender, this is the way to go because it's really a one-click solution for sending your logo across to Substance Painter, doing all of your texturing, then another click to bring it back to the host. So highly recommended. And let's take a look at how that works. I've got Substance Painter open and you can see in the Live Link plugin that it is connected. So I'm going to just select that and I'm going to send that geo. And there we go. Pretty easy, right? So there's my UVs. There's my 3D logo. So all I'm going to do is come up and I'm going to just bake my mesh maps. We can see it's at 4096, which is what I want. And click Bake Mesh Maps. I don't need normals because there's no normals in here. I don't need ID and we don't need thickness. So all I got to do is click Bake Textures. It's going to be super fast because it's only one UDIM tile or one UV tile. And that's done. So return to painting mode and we're ready to go. So we've basically got the yellow on the front and then we've got some sort of metal on the sides and we've got some plastic for the wires. And maybe we can use the same metal for these clips here. And also we've got a metal for those connectors. So it's going to be fairly straightforward. What I like to do is I like to work in groups. So I think I might try the front first, and I'm going to use lots of preset textures here. So I'll create a new folder. I'll name this front, and I'm going to add a black mask like that. And I'm going to Alt click on that mask, and I'm going to come over and select Polygon Fill. And for this one, I just want to select this option here so I can, it will select the actual objects themselves and I can just click on them or I can drag a marquee around them. Now I don't want the because it's going to be slightly different. Okay, so that's all isolated now. So if I find a material that I want, I've done a bit of research and a few tests and I found that, let's see, steel painted worn was pretty good. Now that's actually a smart material, so I need to look for that one there. This one here. Now you may or may not have this. It may not come with the standard installation of Substance Painter. And I'm using an older version of Substance Painter a few versions back. And I may have got this with Substance Painter or downloaded it from the Adobe stock site. Anyway, I'm going to drag that into the folder. And there we go. It's not, the texture resolution is not too bad. So what I'll do is I'll just open that up because that's a smart material. I'm going to find the paint layer or the color layer. So it says shiny paint. And there's the color there. So I'm going to choose a yellow. Maybe something like that. Maybe a little bit richer. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as the trailer. Just be using that as inspiration. I'll just give you the broad strokes and then, you know, if you're doing this yourself, you can go ahead and just do whatever you want. Now, I'm going to hold down the control key and the right mouse button so I can move the environment around. That way I can see how it looks with different light directions. You know, the shading there. I don't like all of this rusty detail. So what I like to do is just sort of dig in and turn things off and find out what's doing what. So we've got rust stain. That looks pretty good. Rust occlusion. That's the one. Now, if we don't want all of this, if we like it, but we don't want, it to be so strong, what we can do is check out what it's affecting. So it's not affecting the normals, it's affecting the height, and the height is what the issue is. So I need to adjust the height, and the best way to do that is to come up here and choose height, and then just adjust this value here. Just knock that right back, and that's better. That way we've got a little bit of it, but not too much. So we've got the occlusion, which is actually pretty nice. We haven't got all of that height detail in there. Okay, so that's basically that. We can come back to that later. So close that one up. I'm going to delete this layer. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'll call this sides. Once again, new black mask. I'll click on that, and I want to select all of the side bits. So once again, polygon fill. Now I've got to be careful because in this mode, I may select things that I don't want to select. So I'm going to just choose this mode here and just drag a marquee. Now, this is why it's important to have your UVs organized. If we had all of these different pieces of the sides all distributed around our UV tile, we'd have to sort of find them. But if we know they're all in one place, pretty much all in one place, we can just easily select them. Just drag a marquee around those just to select them, being careful not to select things we don't want. Definitely want that one. And just going to select all of this. Now the top ones need to be selected as well. These ones here, these are the front faces. And I'll leave the deselected for now. Okay, so with that selected, I'm going to do a search for another smart material. And the one I chose was steel stained, actually. Steel stained. I thought that was a good start for this, so I'll just drag that into the folder. Very nice. Have a look over here. It's a little bit chunky. It doesn't need that layer, I don't think, so I'm going to just twirl that open, and that would be dirt. Yep, dirt can go. We might add a little bit of extra dirt later. Very nice. So these smart materials really get you along, a lot of the way there. Just needed a few adjustments to match the look that you're after. I probably want to add the clips to that group as well. And this little section here, this is actually attached, so we're going to have to just select our beautifully organized UVs. Should make it very simple. So I'll come back and I'll just alt-click on sides and just come back to my UVs. So we know we want the clips, so I'll just drag a marquee around those and the bolts. And these bits here, so these have all been nicely separated. We don't want these tubey bits. We just want the flat bits. So I'll just select those. You can see that's why it's so important that you have well-organized UVs. Even those, these were pretty quickly organized, but they're organized enough for what I want. Okay, I think that's about right. So I'll just hit M and take a look, and there we go. So that plate's done and the clips are done. So what we want to do now is just add some plastic to the covers for the wires. So what I'll do is once again, create a new folder. I'll name this wires, black mask, and I'll click. You can toggle between 3D and 2D. I might just come to 2D. And I've rotated that by accident using my mouse shortcuts. So what I'll do is again, come over and select polygon mode and just select my wires. I wonder if I can do this. Just go like that because they're separate objects. And we also want these. I can't do this because that will select all of it, see, because it's objects. So I need to go into this mode, polygon fill, and just quickly select these. I could have put these, even better organized than this, then would have been even easier to select. Okay, so we'll come back to our 3D only. There we go, hit M. And now we can add a material. So the one I want for this is hard grainy plastic. Hard grainy plastic. Drag that into wires. It got me most of the way there, I thought, but I don't like the bump, so I'm going to twirl that open and get rid of the noise. Just delete that. Nice. These connectors can probably have the same steel as well. You could make them different, but I'm just going to use the same steel, so I'm going to come over to my sides and just click on those. Oop, got to be really careful to click on just these. I could, go over to the UVs and just click on those, but here I'm just as able to do it. Nice. So let's do the. Now we've already done the side. We've given it the same material as electric state. Quick save. And what I'd like to do, I'd like to give it the same sort of grungy treatment as the yellow, but I don't want to give it the paint. So I want it to have it raw steel, but have the grunge. So what I can do is probably create a new group. I'll call this the. And once again, new black mask. Click. And I think I might remove it from the other metal, from the sides group. For now, I'll just click the actual object, come over to sides, and I'll just remove that. I might have to see my 2D only. Just a little bit easier to find. I want to remove it from there. So it's not that piece. Which piece is it? I might just do it this way. I'm not exactly sure which piece it is, so I'll just deselect it this way. So I've got to hit X. Just make sure that I've only got that. So once again, could have been a little more organized with my UVs. That's the one there. There it is there. So that the stuff should all have been together with the. It would have made it a little easier. Just got to stay a little better organized. Right. So M, come back to my the. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, I want to use the same, basically the same as I'm using here. Now I guess I could duplicate this, duplicate layers, and drop that into the. Come up and drop that into there. There we go. That's exactly what we want. And one thing to keep in mind here is the UVs probably weren't ideal because I shouldn't have separated this bevel from the front face. It was nice and easy to, select that in Rising UV and just place it there. But I probably should have connected it to that and had that all one piece, and I wouldn't be dealing with these seams. But I'm going to work around that. I mean, I have done even a tutorial on how to go back and update your UVs, then come back to Substance Painter. But I might not bother with this. I'm going to turn off the paint first. And that is that. So that can actually go. Shiny paint can go. There's a little bit too much rust. It's not quite as noticeable now. You can see there is an obvious line there. Very, very rusty. So that's my rust. So I probably want to select that. Click on the generator, and it's got rust spreading. So I'll just knock that right back. like that. What else have we got? We've got the metal there. So metal is substance, material mode, steel 002 bitmap. And I might come in for this one and let's make it triplanar. Because if I can use triplanar, then it probably shouldn't be an issue with those bevels. Although the normal height detail that's being put in here is kind of making it look like that's by design, that sort of look. But the rust wouldn't get cut off like this. So this is what I do. I just dig in, work out how it's being created, and make adjustments. Got that fill there. That's the height detail. Do we want that height detail? I don't know if we need that height detail. There's occlusion and dirt. That can probably go. Just going to make sure I'm working on the right layer. Do we need any sharpen? I'll leave that turned on for now. I'm going to make that triplanar. So I'm doing whatever I can with triplanar to hide that seam. And this also says outdated because this is probably an old preset. So I'm going to make a few adjustments to these settings and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've made all of those triplanar and I've turned a few things off. So I thought it was a little bit full on. So I turned off the paint and I'm going to delete that. And I turned off rust stain because there was way too much rust on the back. There probably is still a little bit too much rust. I can just adjust the rust spreading and dial it in. So that's basically how I approach that. It's a little shiny in parts, and that's basically controlled by this metal layer. And it's using a material, we saw that before, steel 002 bitmap. So what I want to do is I like that, but I want to actually just adjust the roughness a bit more. So what I'll do is, let's see, above that, it's going to create a new layer. And I'm going to Alt-click on roughness just to select the roughness, and I'm going to increase the roughness. Just knock that roughness back a little bit, or knock the shininess back a little bit. And it's a bit uniform. So, I could use a brush to, with a mask on that layer, or I could use another map in there with the roughness, but I just want to just knock it back a little bit. Like that. So that's basically ready to go. I could come in and add more grunge and fine tune that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send that back across to Blender. And because this is a live link, I can go across to Blender, I can light it, I can animate it, and if I need to make any adjustments, I can come back across to here with a click, make some adjustments, and then send it back across and update it. So it's a really nice workflow. But what I wanted to do was just show you the basic workflow and give you an idea of how easy it is. So what I'll do is come over to my Zolotl settings here, this little hedgehog, and it's linear color space. It's standard. I'm not using UDIMs. and it's got a connection through to Blender. I've saved the folder electric state here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send across electric state, and I think everything is fine. It's 4096, so it's 4K, and I might use EXR, I think. I think EXR will be fine. And I'm going to click send. And what this will do is save all of the textures. And you can see it's already done something here. There you go. How quick was that? So that's done, and it looks correct. So easy, right? You can see why I do it this way. Much easier. You can texture in Blender, but I didn't have to go and bother with the the shading. You can see it's all set up for me with these Lottle Live Link plugin. Now I'm just jumping out here because I wanted to record this quick addendum. When I went back to Blender, I noticed that the front face for the isn't connected, and that's probably why I didn't unwrap it the way I should have. But I can fix that, and I wanted to show you how. So I can select it all and merge by distance to make it all one object. And you can see if I just select this face again and pull it out, you can see that's connected. So now I can send that back across to Rhizome UV and unwrap just that object. So I just click on export, and that just launches Rhizome UV, and you can see there's all the parts that make up the. Remember I mentioned I should have actually put them all in a group. If I click on that front face, you can see it's connected to the bevels. And I just merge that now, and it's joined it as one object. So now I have one object there, and I can just maybe optimize it a little bit and possibly just rotate it into place just a little bit more. Not that it makes a huge difference. And I can save that, go back across to Blender and import. And there you go. You see it's fixed, but obviously it doesn't match the map that I've brought across from Substance Painter. So what I have to do is select the object again and go across to Zolottle's tab there and send the geometry again. This seems like it's going to be a little bit scary, but what Substance Painter will do, it will update the geometry. Nothing else has changed, but you can see the map doesn't look quite right. So I actually have to bake all of the different passes again. We come up to the texture set settings and bake mesh maps. This is a quick process. And done. And there we go. That's updated. So that took, maybe 2 minutes, and it was worth it because I get a better result with that bevel. And I can send that back across just by clicking on the update button in the Lottle Live Link tab. Happens in seconds. And there you go, it's updated. So pretty quick, right? So even if you don't get it right the first time, you can go back and make adjustments and very quickly send them back to Blender. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and maybe just go back to Substance Painter, just fine tune it a little bit. When I've done that, I'll send it back across to here. And in the next tutorial, we'll animate this. So I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.